you also write about how like the ability to read another person's facial expressions is as an important and practiced art, and that this younger generation is not developing it.
Yes, it's interesting. There's a lot of really interesting behavioral science research about how we've evolved to read each other's bodily signals, but especially to read facial expressions. And if you talk to people, as I did when I was doing research on this book, people who work in diplomacy or in business or in other public-facing jobs, they'll tell you people don't make eye contact. They don't know how to make small talk. They've lost some skills. Part of that's because we don't have to practice them. We can do a lot through the screen, which is easier. It's more efficient. It's easier to send an emoji than to learn as a child whether someone's face is smiling because they're angry or because they're actually happy. But we're hardwired as human beings to read those signals. We just need to practice more.
Yeah, you wrote about how like humans are uniquely designed to do that. Like we don't have, obviously some men have facial hair, but we don't have hair all over our faces. We have these faces that actually really are primed to show emotion if only someone would look at them.
Right. We're outsourcing a lot of our expression of emotion to technologies. Those technologies, in turn, are reading us, too, and not necessarily only to benefit us, to make money for the companies that create the platforms, obviously, but also it's a lot of information about ourselves that maybe we wouldn't want to share if we were asked straightforwardly. Would you want someone to be able to read your attempt to seem cheerful when, in fact, you're annoyed with them? Well, we have technology that will do that now, and I'm not sure we necessarily want to be revealing that much of ourselves in our use of these technologies either.
So how are like all the memes and the emojis that are so popular with Gen Z playing into this? Are those a force for good or a force for evil?
So I spent some time in meme world. I'm a Gen Xer and I'm old, so I still use emojis and badly, according to my children. But I found those really creative because they're quite evocative. They tend to be extremely sarcastic, and some of them are just downright funny. But the emotional impact is what I think that generation in particular is trying to express through a medium that isn't as expressive as their human body is, right? So they're trying to get their friends to laugh at something that they find funny, but they're not in the presence of those friends as often as they used to be, and that's actually the problem. Is that they can be very creative in their use of this technology, but they are choosing the technology and the mediated relationships over being face to face with each other, and that's a more valuable connection in the long term for them.
Yes. I learned over the past couple of years that, for example, one of the things that we are not supposed to be doing as Gen Xers that we are doing is, for example, I guess you're not supposed to be using emojis at all. I didn't know that. But like the one where the head is tilted and the right. Tears are coming out as they're laughing, like crying, laughing. If you use that emoji, you're supposed to put at least 3 of them there. If you want to stay somewhat cool, you can't, just using a single floating head is a hard no. But I didn't know this. We're not supposed to be using emojis at all. That's out now.
Mm-hmm. Yes. No, we're all very uncool. Although I do think, and if I could give a plug for our generation, because we're so underappreciated culturally and socially, we are the hybrid generation. We grew up without this stuff. We had to learn how to use it at a pretty formative time in our lives. And we've maintained our sort of healthy skepticism and cynicism about it. I think the younger generations need to learn from our skepticism and have more of that themselves. And I think we all need to be more thoughtful about what we let into our lives and mediate, particularly in private, in our family lives, in our personal lives, and in the way that we do anything as human beings. Listen to music, go to a concert, go to a museum. Don't do everything through your screen. Put it away and actually experience something in real time, in real life, and see the difference.
You have a very interesting piece in here about photographs on your phone. And I would love to talk to you about this. I mean, I remember SiriusXM sometimes sets up these private concerts and they invite their most loyal listeners to go. And it's actually really cool. And so I've gone to a couple of them. And we went to one where Green Day was playing. They were so good. It was great. And the guys said to the crowd, everybody had their phones up because you want to get your favorite song, recorded. Why? They could just press, your Apple Play, whatever, and listen to. You don't have to record them.
Right.
But we do. And they said, put down your phones. Put down your phones. They want the audience to just experience it without this phone in between the musicians and the audience. And I was like, that's so interesting that that's important to them, that they see that as like a piece of the experience. And you seem to be supportive of that idea based on what you said about the photographs on the phone. Can you talk about that?
Yes, it's interesting. People take a lot more pictures nowadays, and the pictures that we're able to take are far more sophisticated, than in the days of, early Polaroid or early cameras where you had to wait for film to be developed. And I think we all take pictures thinking, I'll have this memory. I've captured this moment in life that's important to me, and I'll go back and look at it later. But all the research shows that two things. One, the more pictures you take, the less you remember about the actual experience you're having. And second, you don't usually go back and look at those pictures in the same way that, again, to go old school, people used to sit down together and look at an old family photo album and turn the pages and see the pictures and talk about who was doing what when. We actually don't do that as often as we think we do when we take the picture. But it's the memory formation that I'm really interested in, because those memories are now owned by the platforms that you put the pictures on, not owned by you. They might disappear if the platform disappears. It's a lot more ephemeral of a capturing of memory. And I do think our artists in the world and our painters, our writers, our musicians, our comedians, they're ahead of the curve here. Not only are they giving us warnings about how AI might transform art and literature, but they're reminding us that to have a true experience, to really be open to an experience that someone else is trying to show you, you have to not mediate it. You have to pay attention. So when artists and musicians say, put down your phone, that's really good advice. I would say we should do that a lot more times in our lives, not just concerts.
Well, I'm thinking about, like your kids' play, right? Like, trust that the school is going to have a videotape of it. They always do, right? And you just go and look at your child on the stage and experience what he's doing, or in his own, fifth grade concert or whatever it is. You've got, how many kids do you have, Christina? How old are they?
I have two boys. They just started college, so.
Oh, wow. Congrats on that. That's also, congrats. And also I hope you're fine, because I know the empty nester feeling can be, right? I don't know. It's like, I'm in denial it's happening, but I hear they get less tolerable when they're in senior year, so maybe it's better. Anyway, there's something to that. So the phone in between you it's not great for the artist, and it's not great for you. You're not going to remember it as well. And the actual photograph isn't going to bring back the same memories for you.
You also conform to the behavior that the machine wants you to, in a way, if that makes sense. You hold the phone between you and the experience to capture it, but that changes what you can even see in the frame. In the same way that, watching something on a screen on television is affected by what's around your TV, like a pile of dirty laundry or maybe, a plant. So we forget that these amazing tools actually do have a strong impact on how we behave, how we see the world, and they want to frame how we see the world. And I think we often think they're neutral, but they're not. They're far more ambivalent, and particularly when it comes to the kind of information that technology companies would like to know about us, the kinds of sophisticated sensors that can be embedded in things like a employee ID badge or a phone these days. It's a lot more sophisticated than I think people realize, and it's gathering a lot more information than they might want others to have.
Did you know there's nearly $1 trillion of infrastructure and pandemic funds yet to be spent? That's right. There's a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation surge, just like during COVID. But there is hope. A gold IRA from Birch Gold Group can be an inflation hedge for your savings in uncertain times. To see how to protect your IRA or 401k, get your free info kit on gold by texting the word MK to 989898. Birch Gold makes it seamless for you to just roll over your retirement account while preserving your tax-advantaged status. Don't wait for the president's spending spree to potentially tank the dollar further. Protect your financial future now. Text MK to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.